Hello everyone, Giltar here with a spoiler-free discussion about Mobile Suit Gundam 80 War in the Pocket, which is a 6-episode OVA series from 1989. It's one of its sort of key distinctions is that it's the first Gundam animation project that was not directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino, who is the creator and usually the director of most Gundam series, at least up to that point. It's directed by Fumihiko Takayama, who has done work in other anime series like Bubblegum Crisis. He directed episode 7, so that's near the end. Bubblegum Crisis is an 8-episode OVA series from the late 80s as well, and one of my favorite anime series. It's in my top 5 list. It's really great. I'll review that at some point in the future. He also directed Orgus. I think some episodes of Pat Labor. I don't know if it was the TV show or the different movies. He also directed Razefun. And Razefun, for anybody who doesn't know, is kind of like a more positive Neon Genesis Evangelion, is how I sort of understood it. It came out shortly after Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now, the head character designer for War in the Pocket is Haruhiko Mikimoto, who is most notably known for character designing the Macross, the Super Dimension Fortress Macross, the TV series, as well as other various Macross series subsequent to SDF Macross. He also did character designs for Gunbuster, Megazone 23 or Megazone 23, however you want to call it, Orgus as well, and he's one of my favorite artists in general, and definitely one of my favorite artists as an anime or manga or basically Japanese styled artists. And I'll get into a little bit of that later on. The head mechanical designer is Yutaka Izubuchi, who actually did a lot of mechanical designs for the Pat Labor TV show and various movies. He did a lot of the mechanical designs rather there, and he also worked on Aura Battler Dunbine, I believe. So he designed the Alex, the NT1 Alex, as you see in the box on the left, and the box on the right. He also created the Kampfer. So he has extensive background in mechanical design for anime, and you can actually see a lot of his style in not necessarily the Alex, but the Kampfer especially. Really comes off to me as kind of a Pat Labor-ish design, in my opinion. Now, with respect to the story itself, it takes place in the latter months or the last months of the One-Year War. It takes place, I think, in near the end of Universal Century 79 and into Universal Century 80, and it really deals with the population of Side 6, also known as Rhea Colony. And this story, more than any other Gundam story that I've seen or heard of, focuses really upon the human element. It doesn't really get into action scenes or combat scenes. It doesn't focus on that aspect of Gundam. And really, I think the best way I can describe this OVA series is that it is truly a drama. It deals with character development and relationship between the characters. It also deals with really relevant issues. And in my opinion, this is probably the most underappreciated Gundam work, aside from perhaps Turn A Gundam. But even Turn A Gundam, unfortunately, gets into some of the pitfalls you run into as a long-running TV series show done in that format. But the main character in War in the Pocket is a character by the name of Alfred, or Al, and essentially a large part of the story is seen through his perspective, through the perspective of a child, and he's like in elementary school. I think he might be like 10 or 11 years old, so he's still in elementary, but he's getting to the point where he is probably near junior high age, and a lot of things are changing in his own life, and in terms of his personal life, as well as in his life as a citizen of Side 6, and as it's supposed to be a neutral colony, but things don't actually work out, and he ends up becoming a key player in a small and sort of unknown struggle between Zeon and the Earth Federation. Essentially, what happens is that the NT1 Alex Gundam is a secret weapon, and Zeon gets wind of it, and they want to find it and either take it or destroy it. because they're kind of losing the war, and there's this ace pilot by the name of Amuro who pilots this thing called the Gundam, and they really want to sort of put the kibosh on anything that could give the Earth Federation an even greater advantage that they already have. Now, I do want to say that that's probably the most I want to really speak of about War in the Pocket, because I don't want to get into any spoiler or even anything remotely near spoilerish information. This is by far my sort of strongest recommendation for something in Gundam that I recommend people sort of take a look at. To be honest, a lot of other Gundam series do get into sort of, quote-unquote deep topics or subject matter, but to be very honest, and this is coming from a die-hard fan of Gundam, there are a lot of cliches that Gundam stories generally fall into, which is they really have deep and big and broad philosophical ideas and concepts, but it's really poor in execution in terms of how they sort of go through the narrative and try to create a sort of conversation or dialogue between the characters and also between the show and the viewer. More often than not, Gundam fails, and I'm sorry, it does. It touches upon a lot of great subjects and topics, but again, the execution is not quite smooth. I find that War in the Pocket is the most successful attempt in a Gundam series to try to really make things relevant. Not only in the subject matter, which is more relatable to the audience members in the late 80s when this first came out, as well as in 2010, the current day. It stays relevant, but also in the way it handles the sort of narrative devices and structures of the story. For example, more often than not only in Gundam, but in many, I guess, different mecha-related shows, is that pilots will often speak to each other over open channels. I really don't get that, especially because they're in a firefight. They're very dangerous situations where they're fighting in these large vehicles, these military machines, and then for some reason they're spouting off philosophical beliefs over a comm channel to an enemy for some reason who would listen to them and also respond during a heated confrontation. War in the Pocket never gets into that. You don't see pilots speaking to each other while they're in a fight in a mobile suit. And to me, that's one of the large key distinctions about the difference between Takayama's directing approach and Tomino's. I don't know if Tomino changed it later on, but I know for a fact that the way that Takayama handles War in the Pocket, the story, the direction, the narration, and the execution of everything in it is truly real robot. It's extremely realistic, not necessarily real, but realistic. It's convincing. It's easy to become immersed in the story because there are no just sort of silly cliches that we often see in anime, and especially in mecha-related anime. And so I think I'll probably leave that as it is for now. Again, I definitely recommend this. I hope you guys, if you haven't seen this yet, try to track down War in the Pocket. I don't know if you can watch it streamed off of YouTube or some other sort of video website, but definitely try to watch this at some point. For those of you who have already watched War in the Pocket, please let me know by responding in the comment section and give me an idea if you have any interest on further discussing this, because I've got a lot of things I really want to say about this, but again, I don't want to get into some spoiler territory. So if I get a good bearing, like even if one person comments and says, yeah, I saw War in the Pocket, I really liked it, and for whatever reason, that would be enough for me personally to make me want to make a second video to follow up and really get in depth in my discussion about this OVA series, which again I think is probably one of the best, if not the best, Gundam stories in my opinion to this date. So I hope you guys enjoy this. For those who haven't watched War in the Pocket, I hope this piques your interest. And for those who have watched it, again, please let me know, what degree of interest you have in getting into a discussion about this. And once I see some comments about this, I'm probably gonna to be honest, I'll probably make a two-part video for this because there's a lot I want to say about it on many different fronts in terms of the narrative, the story structure, the plot, the acting, the character design and development, the mechanical design, and all these other things I want to touch upon. But yeah, I really love this. I'm really itching to speak about it. So again, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this, and if you want to get into a discussion about it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.